Today I want to show you the Sony Xperia L. This is this one, fresh up here, and as you can see, it's a mid-class device, and you have that typical sharped back over here, and we're talking about, yeah, let's say a 9.5 millimeters here, and at the corners about 12 millimeters. So in most cases, let's talk about an average thickness of 10 millimeters. But the weight is 130 grams. That's a lot for a small device like this one. So it's resting in your palm like a heavy, but in a good kind, in a good way, heavy. So it's feeling like a solid phone you have in your hand. That's a good thing in my opinion. The backside, it's you have rubber feeling, and it's a little bit it's giving a good grip to your palm, to your fingers, and on that edge over here you can rip off the back, but I found it much more easier to grip around here and to rip it off like this, because the other way it's a little bit problematic, because you need a bigger fingernails like mine. Nevertheless, you can rip it off, and this is of course plastic, but the most important thing in my opinion is that you can remove the battery. It looks great, big, but it's only 1700 milliampere hours. So compared to the display size, that's 4.3 inches, it's a little bit too small. It's 5% above the average concerning the relation between battery capacity and display size. So that could be a small problem if you're using your phone a lot. But by the way, here we have that micro SD slot, as you can see, and that's for the SIM card. It's a micro SIM, so you can expand your memory up to 32 gigabyte. Internal memory is 8 gigabyte, and out of the box you have available 5.1 gigabyte. And that's the important fact, because that's the net memory, 5 gigabyte. And because we're talking about Android 4.1.2, you might have heard that you can't remove your apps to the SD card anymore, unless you want to root your device, and I won't recommend that if you're not a pro. So in regular cases, you can't move your apps anymore to the SD card. So this 5.1 gigabyte you will have to use for all your apps and dates and messages and contacts and whatever you want to store. So the SD card is only for multimedia data, or maybe for your Word documents or PDFs or whatever. But the system apps and everything is reduced to these 5 gigabytes. So you should think a lot about that size. What kind of apps do you use? If you're a gamer, that's no chance at all, because let's say one game might have 50 megabyte, another one might have 1 gigabyte. So let's talk about, let's say, Angry Birds. That's about, yeah, depends on what kind of version you have, from 30 megabyte up to 45 megabyte, I guess. So you don't have a lot more space to store your games in this one if you're just using apps like WhatsApp or Skype. So this should be around about 10 megabyte per app. So you can figure out how many apps you can store in that 5 gigabyte. So please be aware of that. Coming back to the display, let me show you a picture that you can see the display quality for yourself. Let's pick this one. It's a TFT, and we're talking about 54 by 95 millimeters. So we're getting a diagonal of 109 millimeters of 4.3 inches. And pixels are 480 by 845. Let me go a little bit closer so that you can see. Here we go. And that's, you're coming to a sharpness or pixel density of 228 ppi. That's 45% below average. As you can see, it's you have rich details. It's no problem at all. Or especially if you go back to the menu, that you can see those small, tiny texts over here. You can read them. It's no problem at all. But it's not a pixel density like on top class phones, like let's just say HTC One for multimedia, that you have really sharp and crisp image. That's not the same. But if you compare the pixel density and the size of the display to the price, that's at the moment, at least here in Germany, 250 euro without any contract for the start. I guess it will falling quickly because after the start, mostly the prices go 10 or 20 euros down. But compared to 250 euro, the size of the display is 46% above the average. So you're getting a big screen for your money, and that's the same relation like on the pixel density, that's 72% above average. So even compared to the price, you're getting a sharp display. So that's good news. On the other hand, as I told you, 1700 milliampere hours the battery compared to the or in relation to the screen size, it's 5% below the average. So you have to be careful that you're not running out of battery power during the day. And the other bad news is, as you can see below here, these three buttons are not below the screen, they're inside the touch screen. And as you can see, there are, in most cases, you have that 8 millimeters going away from your original content. So let's say if you're going to browser, you always have that black row with the three buttons down here. So the net size of the display, I mean this one over here, is not 4.3 inches, it's 4 inches. So that's 8% less. So 8% you use by that black row down here for those three buttons. 8% of the net display size is going red. So that you have to think about. So, but nevertheless, even if you compare those 4 inches screen to the price, you even have a great relation from price to display size and display pixel density. Last but not least, you will have, at least in Europe, three versions of the, or three designs. It's black, white, and red, and shall be available in the next week for price for 299. Sony is calling, but street price is, like I said, 250 euro at the moment without any contract. That's the first impression of the Sony Xperia L. Thanks for watching, take care, and I hope to see you back soon.